Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us, coming to us live from San Antonio, East Fresno's own Bruce Bowen. What's going on?
You know what? I'm not going to let you do it. Starting off with East Fresno. You know I'm from West Fresno.
It's West, my bad.
You did that on purpose.
No, I didn't.
Man.
See, this time I did do it on purpose.
That's what you do. I know. Hey, I read the comments. People, all they want to do is hear us go back and forth. They want to hear me talk about, I'm going to get you and all that stuff. But you know it's West Fresno. But you know what?
What makes it so bad is I was like, I messed it up last time, but I'm not going to mess it up again. And then I came out here and I messed it up again.
That's what we doing?
Yes, no, because
as the better half. That's what we doing?
Because I'm happy to see you, right? This is always a good time. But we got you back here.
Look here. I got this. This is
okay. That's
this
what you need.
My calming tea.
That's what you need.
Calming tea. Only when I deal with you.
That's your woosah. See, here's the worst thing about it, man. Bruce doing this, you know what I'm saying? Because, when I'm trying to get Bruce, it ain't going to be about what side of Fresno. It's all the same Fresno to me. I don't know no better. Like when I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. I wanted to start off. Look, this is the thing. Bruce Bowen, San Antonio Spurs legend, retired jersey. You was nice enough to let somebody borrow it, but I bet you ain't going to do that again, right? Retired jersey, number 12, up there in the rafters. It's been a down few years for the Spurs. It ain't down no more, man. Like when you watch this team, what do you think? Because here's what I think is interesting and is a little bit different, is the Spurs had the luck of 2 superstars who were perfectly built for San Antonio, right? Mm-hmm. David Robinson into Tim Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Victor is similar to them, but Victor got a different kind of star power and wattage to him, right? Like he is of a much different personality than those guys are. But it still feels like this is San Antonio Spurs basketball.
Well, yes. And to Victor's credit, I think San Antonio has been blessed with, I think, great thinkers of the game, high IQ, big men. Now, I've played with some big men that elevator didn't quite get to the penthouse level. But to think about how they have gone about things, Victor wanted to be here. Now, you think about this. A guy that's able to go to an organization that has had successful foundation players, why wouldn't you want to? But on top of that, still staying true to who he is as far as his evolution and his IQ to seek out knowledge in different places and not be afraid to tap into some individual that may be monks. Let me go spend some time in China to learn different things about how I can center myself in this great league that we're in. How can I seek knowledge from some of the former players that big men would never think about seeking knowledge from? Hey, Jamal Crawford, I like how crafty you were with the basketball. Hey, can you give me some time? Obviously Hakeem Olajuwon, but just to say that one thing about Tim and David that I've always appreciated as how they've been comfortable in their own skin. And that's what you see in Victor. You see him comfortable in his own skin, but being so much different from a standpoint of certain things that turn him on, certain things that turn him off. But at the same time, he has that same IQ of wanting to be a better version of himself.
Let me tell you, and I want to get back to talking about current Spurs, but as you mentioned that, it got me thinking about something. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Because of one bad playoff series, I feel like we have really slept on what David Robinson was. Like the high end of David Robinson. Like even you, where you played with him after the back injury, you go look at the advanced numbers. David Robinson was still David Robinson, just at 25 minutes a game.
You talk about the first big man that would beat guys up and down the floor. You look at his frame, and this is what I think Wemby had to deal with. People look at his frame and say, he can't handle this, he can't handle that. But all of a sudden, what you see on the floor with Wemby is something that's truly special. but you're not accustomed to seeing that from somebody with his build. David had that build, but more importantly, he didn't allow the bigs to beat him up so much because he learned how to utilize his strengths more than anything else. So I have a big guy that wants to guard me on the block. Dave would take him out to that wing and catch and rip right through him and get to the basket. At that moment, with him and Avery Johnson, how many guys were running the floor like Wemby does and what David was able to do, and they're just pointing at the rim? I mean, in full transition mode. Not one of those things where you could see the lob coming, but a certain play in transition where that becomes part of the weapons that you use when it comes to your offensive game. Davis' ability to block shots and stay with wing players at that time, it was something we never had seen before. So to see him do it, I mean, only other slender guy was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that I can think of, or Ralph Sampson, who was more, I think, in the lines of what Wemby is, but at another level and less upset about being that guy. Um, I only say that because it seemed like Ralph Sams was always fighting somebody. Like,
Yeah.
hey, Ralph, why you so mad, brother? I mean, come on.
Ralph in the NBA Finals. Our guy Howard Bryant, he grew up as a Celtics fan. He hate Ralph Sampson so much, so much.
But that's the beauty of this, is that Dave was not a guy that was, well, when I played, I did this. That you don't ever hear from Dave. Dave was about what he could do to, I think, more importantly, add to his longevity in the game. And I played 2 years with him, and it was interesting. I had heard the yoga that he did, and so I said, Dave, tell me about the yoga and what it does for you. And Dave hopped into a position. Oh, and I
At
was
7 feet
like,
tall.
You're right. And I'm saying to myself, like, man, that look like your abs really got to be strong to do that. The meaning, please don't ask me to do it, Dave. But what he was doing, I think he was ahead of time as far as the way you have to take care of your body being that size so that you don't wake up with knots in your muscles and things of that nature. But he was funny in how he did things as well. Dave, he would just say, when you thought you were driving in to get, oh no, not that one. No, you got to try that again. And it was humorous to me, but at the same time, he was sending a message that, hey, I may not talk trash like these other folks, but I do have something to say about whether you score or not.
Yeah.
And so you think about that, and you look at me being able to press up on guys, knowing that I had Dave back there, and even Dave at his final 2 years was still better than a whole lot of others that were in their prime.
Yeah. The thing that I find interesting between David and Victor is a much ornery character. Like Victor seems to be, as my buddy Joel Anderson says, motivated by spite.
See, and that's the beauty of Dave. Dave's strong, devout Christian. And Dave would bless you, brother, for feeling that way
Yeah.
about me. And I'm still going to give you 30 and 15. And whereas Victor, like, this is the thing. I couldn't stand it when reporters with little snide remarks. Yeah, but you seemed to walk up under him while he was shooting. Can you believe that, Bomani? They would say stuff like that on the low, and it bothered me, and I couldn't do much about it because I didn't have that intention of what they saw, but they would immediately say things like, "Oh, he tried to do that. Oh, he's a dirty guy." Now, that being said, I heard that, but I didn't say anything to it. Whereas Victor has heard all the folks talking about, just take him on the block. He can't do nothing because all you have to do is be physical with him. Draymond knew that was the last line of defense he had on him, is to try to be physical with him. 2 years ago, Victor probably would have tussled with somebody trying to show how strong he is. Now he sets them up to utilize their strength against them. And what happened when you press up on him on that underneath out of bounds play? He spins and he's catching it for an and one. That's the ultimate get back in that particular moment, as far as I'm concerned. Take that.
Now, how good are the rest of them dudes? That's, I think, the most interesting question. Because, I mean, we got a pretty decent idea about De'Aaron Fox, who I think has done a good job of recognizing that, like, you playing with the guy, right?
Hmm.
Like, don't lose track of what really matters. But he's been good. They got all these young dudes, but I feel like they could win the West, but everybody got the same point, and it's a fair one. They've never won anything like a single solitary playoff series.
No, and that's fair, Bomani. It really is. And that's always been my thought process with this group prior to it coming together quite like it is now. I always have shared with people that you need experience. You need that failure to teach you more than anything else. Case in point, this last game against the New York Knicks. They had 11-game win streak, and what stood out to me in that little moment was, okay, what happens to most is when you get on a win streak, you become more concerned with the W's than how you went about being the best you could be and taking whatever happened. Now on those win streaks, this is why coaches are so thrilled when they come to an end. Now you will start listening to me again. Now I can coach you again, because before I could coach you and we got on a win streak, and then it became skipping steps to get a W. We saw steps skipped in that game. And in those steps that were skipped, I'm sure Mitch was able to go back in film and say, hey, fellas, look at this. Look at how we just tried to get Wemby the ball in a rush and didn't really take note of how he was being played and how we could counter to maybe if there's someone denying him. Those are the little things that those lessons of losing a win streak or losing a game, you're able to learn from. In the playoffs, it becomes more heightened. Now you see so many things that only one that maybe have a little bit of playoff experience that I can think of at the top of my head is Fox
And Harrison
and
Barnes, the
and
other one.
Harrison Barnes, exactly. And what you have in those two are so valuable. The things that they can bring to the table so valuable for a guy who's excited. Vassell excited, Keldon Johnson excited, being able to get to that point and feel like, oh my goodness, this is what they're talking about. Because I remember my first year in the NBA, I went to it was my second year, I believe it was. I go to the Lakers game. They're still at the Forum, and they're playing the Portland Trail Blazers. And that's when he was a tall, skinnier version, bouncy guy that went to Iowa State. Catino, no, not Catino.
You talking Kelvin Cato?
Kelvin Cato. When Shaq dunked on him, but you bring up that clip. But when Shaq dunked on him, that was a moment where Kelvin Cato realized that his defensive rotations needed to be a a tenth of a second quicker. The fact that he was rotating late because he's never been in that environment, and the way that Shaq stretched out on him, I still think about this one. And just the way it happened, I saw it coming. I'm like, uh-oh, uh-oh. And boom, it happens. Also during that time, that's when J.R. Ryder told the press, said, I own Eddie Jones. And every time he scored, he would pull his jersey a little bit like, I got heart. Eddie doesn't. And so all these different things go on during the course of playoffs where the game slows down and there's a focus that happens. Teams aren't coming up with new plays, but it's about the execution of the plays that they have where you're saying, oh my goodness, this is truly special. So, you look at being that it's Victor had a rookie of the year and not Vassell, but
Castle.
Castle, what they have, Castle's ability to learn on the fly, because I look at Castle as far as his ability to make the change in defense. I remember last year, there were a couple of times he opened up a little bit on certain guys, and that gave them a driving way. Now he's become more physical, and he's starting to really enforce his will on the defensive side, let alone the offensive side. You look at Harper. what he's able to do. We have so many different valuable options now. Now, when it comes to playoff basketball, who's able to play their role to a T, who's able to understand how important it is to follow a game plan and how necessary it is to pay attention to detail. Those are the things that you learn during the course of that time. But I feel like they can win a series and learn from that series and learn how more important things are because of that. It doesn't happen often, but I think that they're capable of doing that.
All right. If you had to pick somebody in the West right now, though, which way you going?
Well, I think it's hard to not pick the champions, especially when they're in first place.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be them. But I think even in the fact that if Spurs and OKC meet up in the Western Conference Finals, the only edge I would give OKC is the fact that they've been there before.
Now, where are you on Denver? Because I still think they got the
Who?
best play on Denver. Because I
What you
still
say?
feel like, oh, you're not here in
Uh,
Denver? You're not here for it?
it's just and I only have to say this because they're missing a key component that you
With
never
Aaron
see.
Gordon.
Right, you never see um, Jokic get out of character, and what transpired in that OKC game. I look at that from a standpoint of no, you're the three-time MVP. That can't happen to you. And I know people are going to say, "Well, he's human, and he gotta. Sometimes you just have to." And I'm just saying, as far as the edge of you having something over someone else, you can never allow a moment to happen where you're saying things like, "Oh man, I lost my cool, and now everyone knows that I'm human." And because sometimes it's just that mental edge that you have as an athlete, as a basketball player, football player, whatever it is. That's where you keep your edge. Whereas, like a player like Kobe, he kept the edge on a lot of guys because of the mental aspect of not allowing them to ever feel like they got in.
Yeah, like this is, I feel like Denver's got they've done it before. We talked about this the other day. It's like we give Minnesota no credit for the fact that they've been knocking on the door these last 2 years, right? I don't think that they're champions, just to be clear, but it is interesting. Like Anthony Edwards, he's like, I've seen all my heroes and I've taken them all down at least once. Right? Every single one of them. He's like, I had something for all of them.
That's scary for a team going up against him because he can rally the troops. And this is there hasn't been many rallying the troops, kind of like Kobe, kind of like MJ. Um, it was interesting to see their growth without Cat because it becomes a different team. And yes, they're more wide open, but at the same time, I know we give we give the French boy a hard time down low, but he's still able to get things done on the defensive side.
Right.
He's still a rim.
He's a good player.
Yeah, yes. Y-
He's a good
may-
player.
maybe it's because Shaq keeps talking about him so
It's
bad
because
that we.
everybody. Nope. I don't think any player in the history of the NBA has ever been less respected in the course of what will be a Hall of Fame career than Rudy Gobert.
It, you know, and again, when you think of Rudy Gobert, do you ever think of highlights?
No.
I just saw the last one. Draymond had him, and it's that picture of him like you didn't see him like get me. You better get off me trying to choke me. It was like ayúdame por fin ayúdame. Like that. That's the part. But then you watch him in that game in Denver. I'm watching. I'm like Rudy. Why do I feel this way? But again, it's part of the whole. It's Shaq. It's the pictures that we see. It's the things. It's the low. It's the low lights that we seen instead of the highlights. And he is so getting back to facing that team with a leader like, ooh man, AD is just he. And I think what stands out about Anthony Edwards right now is that whole confrontation with the coach. People made more of it than they should have, but there's many a times coaches are going to say, pass, hit the open man. But to see his fire, like, no, I got this. This is what I do. Yes, it is. But when you have someone open, it's that moment with Michael Jordan and Paxson when Phil Jackson says, Michael, who's open? And he says, Pax is open. Then get him the ball. And next thing you know, in LA, Michael does it once, Michael does it a couple of times. But it's what Michael created first and foremost that we understand what he's able to do before he starts getting it to the open guys. So I think this is what's scary about Anthony Edwards is that what he's doing, as you said, taking down everybody. When he see LeBron James, now listen to LeBron at the All-Star game. Hey, man, I love what I see in AD. I want him to keep going. Now you got people that you've had on the hit list, so to speak. Now they're giving you compliments like that. Ooh, that's scary, Bomani. That's why you never heard me say nothing positive other than the generic. Well, he's a great competitor, and that's what he does. Look, not gonna hear me praise no Vince Carter.
you and Vince.
You gonna hear me praise no Ray Allen?
We wouldn't hear you praise Vince Carter because you just not go praise. We wouldn't hear you praise Vince Carter right now.
Sure. I think he was the most talented guy.
But
he just didn't have that other piece that was necessary. Some people say the Wizard of Oz. I like to say the Wiz. You know, ease on down the road.
What I love here is that you were like, I will compliment him, knowing the whole way that in the tuck, you was coming right behind it. But talk about that man's ticker.
Well, I'm on the right time, right? There's no better time than the right time.
Like, I'd love to get your list because Vince is the only one that I know. Like, nobody excites you quite like Vince when it's time to talk about what ain't.
Well, you know, Vince has some choice things to say, and I just felt like in our time, Ray Allen, he could have talked to me too, but Ray and I were good. It's just it was a spirit of competition.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at and this is all jokes aside, Vince was the most talented guy, like playing that position. He had bounce, he could shoot the ball. It wasn't like back up, he can't shoot. That wasn't the case. Vince got kicked out of a game with me, and he had like 38 points. Like, I remember Manu in the locker room right after the game said, Bruce, I don't care what you say. You could talk about my mama. I got 38 on you. I'm going for a career high on you. But that was the difference in Manu and, say, Vince Carter. Vince allowed those moments of emotions to get to him. And who ends up winning? The cooler head always wins. The cooler head always prevails. So I understood that. So if I know how to push your buttons, then set to blow up in the third quarter at this point. Engage.
It's so fun to know that you weren't accidentally like this. You were really doing the math.
Bomani, I tell you, man, I would sit and listen. I observed because I think I like to observe people and how they do things. But I remember being at a place, and it's the summertime, and this is a star in the league, and he tells me, "Hey, every time we play, you kind of you hit me a little bit after the shot. You're not supposed to do that." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. That's my bad."
Every time.
But in my head, oh shoot, he don't like it when man, when these guys started saying all this stuff, I'm recording. Like, really? Oh my goodness. I'm getting back to the crib like, yo, guess what I just found out? And so in those moments, it's like in the most adverse situation, fourth quarter, let me see how true this is. Let me poke the bear a little bit. Next thing you know, man, I'm getting such a reaction. I didn't know that, but I only knew because they shared that with me.
They just told
So,
you, huh?
so thank y'all.
Coming up next, we're going to find out what Bruce Bowen thinks about what's going on in LA. Ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals? Well, now's your chance, courtesy of FanDuel. All you have to do is use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you'll be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. NBA futures let you lock in your pick for who you think will go all the way, whether it's a team to win the championship or a conference title. Visit FanDuel.com/Bomani to get started. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
21 plus and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kansas, Wyoming. Opt-in requirement. Awards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsduel.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. March includes International Women's Day, a moment to celebrate women's strength and progress while also recognizing how much they carry every day. Between caring for others and managing unseen responsibilities, their emotional well-being can easily be overlooked. We want to remind women how much they matter and that therapy offers a space for them to take care of themselves in the way they deserve. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the U.S. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and our 12-plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate, which means we typically get it right the first time. If you aren't happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time from our tailored recs. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally. And it works, with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Bomani. That's betterhelp.com/Bomani. It's the biggest time of year for college basketball. Great moments, fierce rivalries, and incredible high-stakes action. Teams face off against each other, and along the way, there are surprises, comebacks, and upsets. It's anyone's game. Well, regardless of who makes it to the final round, one thing's for certain. It takes the most talented people to build these incredible teams. The same goes when you're hiring. If you want your business to be at the top of its game, you need the best people on your team. The place to find them? ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. ZipRecruiter's smart matching technology immediately finds qualified candidates that check all your boxes. ZipRecruiter recommends screening questions you can easily add to get the highest quality applicants. Want to see who's recently active? ZipRecruiter's filters can show you. Score the best for your team with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. All right, we are back with Bruce Bowen. I guess it's what I'm gonna talk to you about the Lakers, but I did just had this moment where I thought about this. The Clippers are the most interesting team that isn't really winning. No.
Why you got? You know I got fired for my comments with Clippers. You know that.
I thought that you would let that go.
No. I didn't say I was mad about it. I just said,
Okay.
you know.
I did. I did. I did. I did. See, this is what was happening right now. I know you such a stand-up dude that I could trust you to be fair, right? Because what is interesting about it is they looked terrible. Then they looked great. Then they gave up on the season. But Kawhi Leonard has been incredible this year in a way you rarely see for a guy playing on a team that doesn't matter.
Well, I think because of all the stuff that's going on around Kawhi, it's been one of those situations where Uncle Dennis is like, "Hey, man, look here, we can't pack it in. We still got a job to do," and it goes to that part of professionalism that he's displaying. But at the end of the day, it's how the foundation is within that organization. I think they have a great coaching staff. A great coaching staff. Bishaw, my man, you talk about hero, mentor, all that. You have that in him. He knows how to connect with players. Now you got Jeff Van Gundy as an assistant who loves the game of basketball. You know, the Van Gundys, period. They're born with knowledge of the game. And then Ty Lue, NBA champion, NBA player, champion as a player. You have what's necessary there. But then you have Mr. Frank. That's where like everything has to line up in a way accordingly that's going to continue to allow you to build. The fact that I love that they got ahead of the situation with James Harden, but it still puts them back in that scenario of what are we talking about here? Come on, sometimes the Clippers just can't not get clipped because they the Clippers.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, the Lakers, I say this, the Clippers, it's been, an interesting season that they could wind up getting out to play in and feel good about themselves if they got there, right? I don't think there's anything that can happen to make the Lakers feel good. Right? Like you have LeBron, you have Luka Doncic, you have LeBron James, and you guys will be lucky if you win 2 games in the first round.
Bomani, there's this thing, and I say this to all leaders when I'm coaching, whether it's corporate setting or giving a motivational speech or coaching my 14-year-old group. To whom much is given, much is required. So you've been blessed with a certain skill set. And because you've been blessed with a certain skill set, it is so important that you do all the little things that others will be able to see a leader in you that they can get behind. A la you have LeBron James on the same team with Luka. Luka could look at LeBron and say, man, look at what he's done with his body for the amount of time he's been in the NBA. Usually by somebody's 38th year, or I should say being 38 years of age, you no longer see cut up. You start to see a little fluff going on that muscle because they're not working out like they used to. But that's the example that you see in LeBron getting out on fast breaks. If he turns it over now, I mean, if there's anybody that gets a pass, it's a 40-year-old getting back on defense. But when I see someone steal the ball from Luka and he barely attempts to get back, or he's chatting with the ref because he feels like he's been wronged, he hit my hand before he hit the ball, that's where I have the issue of you are a leader. What message are you sending to your teammates on the bench? When you don't go hard because you didn't feel like you got the fair call, I have an issue with that because I've been around some greats that it didn't matter. Okay, that's what you want to do? You fouling me. Okay, but they're not going to call it. All right, I'm not going to go complain to the official. I'm going to go right through your nose in order to make my point. Tim Hardaway, I mean, before he got up in age, competitor. Went at guys. Oh yeah, that the UTEP 2-step. Watching him, watching Zoe, knowing all he got is a jump hook. He gonna jump hook you to death, or he gonna dunk on you. but the spirit of competition. You notice I didn't bring up my other two centers that just would outthink you, outmaneuver you, and Tim Duncan and David Robinson. That doesn't need to be said. But to watch a guy who is a critical piece, especially after what he's gone through in order to get there, you would think that from that failure of being traded, that it showed Luka that, man, I need to get myself together. I need to make sure that that version of what they saw in Dallas is not a version that they'll ever see with me as a Los Angeles Laker. But what I see is some of that remnants of what used to be still showing up.
Yeah, I thought
And
this was going to be show and prove year.
well, think about this. The beginning of the year, he came in a little slimmer,
Yeah. It did happen.
but old habits die hard. I get it. But he can, with his talent and with his skill set, he should be doing, I mean, it should not be clips of us asking or watching JJ Redick, trying to talk to him and he pouting and things like that. Again, come on now. It's something to call it. It's something to call accountability in this. But Monty, you have a boss to answer to. You can't ever think that, oh man, shoot, I'm the one. Now, you may feel like you're the one, but you can't ever act like that when you're not bringing what you're supposed to bring to the table, or else they will what? Find someone else.
Right.
And I know that sounds harsh, but in reality, that's truly what it is. Or you become handcuffed by a player and his lack of effort from time to time, and you don't want an organization like that. Those organizations don't accomplish much in life.
Mm. Now, I want to go to the East, and I've talked about this on the show, and I've talked about this with you a little bit, but we didn't really get into it. I'm curious because you have much more experience obviously as a professional basketball player. I can only assume that if the Celtics bring Jayson Tatum back, everybody medical involved somehow thinks that this is okay. Okay and a good idea are two different things. I would have never dreamed of bringing him back out there this year. They seem like they're going to do it. And like the idea is, and I'm curious what you think about this, is if Jayson Tatum was going to come off the bench and be Vinnie Johnson and just gun for 15 minutes a game, okay, maybe that works. But I don't know how you just drop Jayson Tatum in coming off an Achilles with as much uncertainty as we'll have about what that means about what he has to provide. And everybody, like, I just feel like you look around and I'm like, oh, this is normal to everybody. I feel like I'm the crazy.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving me that experience of being a player. It's very rare that I get those kind of compliments from you, Bomani. But I like to go back to this. Celtics years ago had a player by the name of Isaiah Thomas, and he had an incredible year. He was building up, carried the team, dealing with so many emotional things. He lost his sister, and just certain things in life was taking a toll. But he gave his all to that organization, playing hurt. Now, as time went on, they found out that maybe he shouldn't have been playing. And I get it, this is a business. But at the same time, I started off today, you and I were talking, I talked about how as you get older, you got to be able to conform with the newer nuances of whatever the game is, whether it's new offensive plays, whether it's different ways of handling a medical staff. But your investment is Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum is not a guy that comes off the bench. Jayson Tatum is an individual that's going to have the ball in his hands for quite some time because of how good he is. Now, if it's me, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of I want to protect my asset. Is it better for me to have him now, or let's start off with a week of training camp and go from there next season? Right now, they have a flow with how they do things. I played for the Miami Heat, and I remember when Alonzo Mourning started coming back to practice, he sat out because of the whole kidney issue and never knew if he would play again. But then he showed up at practice and he was doing conditioning drills and things like that. Then he started practicing with us. And at this time, Anthony Mason, rest his soul, was an all-star for us and our team MVP. He was playing the 4 position. Brian Grant was at the 5. I was at the 3. Eddie Jones at the 2, and Tim Hardaway was at the 1. And so Zoe starts practicing with us, and I'm like, Zoe's coming back. I don't know what to think of it because I'm the player. All I'm looking at from standpoint is, hey, it's Zoe. He's going to give us what he used to give us. Well, Zoe was coming off of a kidney transplant, and because of that, there were certain things we just didn't know if he would ever get back to that player. So I say that to share this. We play a game, we're incorporating Zoe back in. Mace is unhappy, not because he doesn't like him, but because the flow of the game changed. Now the ball was no longer in Mace's hands and Mace making decisions. Now Zoe is pounding the ball, getting to his shot, and it's created a disruption. Now everyone is suffering because of that. Maybe Zoe shouldn't have come back during the season quite like he did. Now I say, looking ahead, what if now Jalen's not able to get to touches, or not even Jalen? It's going to be a role player that's not going to get touches because Jayson is taking a bulk load of the shots. It's nothing against Jayson Tatum. It's just the disruption that happens during the course of a season, or let alone the chemistry of what you guys got going. Again, let me state this because somebody's going to hear this, Bomani, and say, Bruce Bowen say that Jayson Tatum shouldn't play because he's terrible. That is not what I'm saying. He has to go through a litany of different things. Do we trust the explosion again? And all the things of what happens during the course of games. How do you make the adjustment? I don't know if that's necessarily the thing, but if it's me, I'm protecting my asset, especially in today's game, and utilize this year off to allow him to kind of get his body back together and see the game in a different light.
Let me tell you, this is my feeling. If you're not going to play Jayson Tatum 36 minutes a game, I don't think you can put him in front of Joe Mazzulla, because that is a crazy person who really only knows how to go hard. And I say this as a compliment. Like, I can't believe how much I don't know this man, but I've come to love him, right? Like, I appreciate there's an outright sincerity, and he's trying to win all of this. You know, he a little different. You know what I mean? He ain't.
We like to call it no fluff.
Yes. There's all he knows is what is directly in front of him. That is all it is. But you're not gonna give him Jayson Tatum and he'll be like, cool, I'll just play him 10 minutes. He can't, his brain does not operate like that.
Can I just give you this? Joe, when Joe was at West Virginia, he didn't play a lot his freshman year, sophomore year. He didn't play a whole lot, but he got to start against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, I believe it was. And they beat him, and he had 17 points. But what he talked about in his post-game interview, it wasn't, coach has finally realized what I could do, and I'm just happy I got a chance to do it. That wasn't what he said. What he talked about, he said, my freshman year, because of our length, I said, man, we could be a really good 1-3-1 zone team. And if we could just incorporate things because of our length. My point in all that, as when others are trying to get buckets, he's thinking about the game at another level. No fluff. He is about that life of, how can I make this group better? Oh, he's with me? Let's go. 38 minutes. Absolutely. 30 plus minutes. Because with coaches that are always thinking of making it better, they do not like seeing players that can't play suit up, because they will make the mistake and say, so-and-so, get in there for so-and-so. So for him, he doesn't need to see Jayson at all if he's not going to utilize him. Once he starts seeing Jayson, now it starts happening.
Sorry. And then somebody got to be the one to try to explain it to him.
Who gonna out-explain? Who gonna out-explain why
Brad
this is
can't
not
even
good?
do it. Yeah, Brad can't even explain that to him. And look, I give Brad credit. Ime, I think, was a fairly obvious hire. Or that was one that a lot of other people would have made. Now, when he hired Mazzulla, he was in a position where he kind of had to, because Ime, right? And I thought in year one, we were like, hey, I don't know about this. And in year two, when they brought Cassell in as an assistant, I don't know about you, but my thought was, your replacement is right there if you don't get this straight. And nope, it's worked. And then this year, This has been coach of the year level stuff that
Mhm.
he has managed to done. Dude, got to give it to Brad. Brad was like, nah, I think I see something in this dude.
Well, you think about Brad's mindset, how he thinks the game, and how he's a great thinker of the game. Even at Butler, what he was able to do there. So I think it gets kind of brushed off to the side of when they were putting a staff together, what Brad saw in Joe. He saw that person that we see now. And a lot of times in these situations, Brad is so proud of what Joe has been able to accomplish, not because it's tagged to him, but because these are the things that Brad saw. And Brad didn't know if Joe would ever get an opportunity within the Celtic organization to be able to do this. Now, that's not to say that Joe wouldn't have gone elsewhere and maybe had a head coaching opportunity, but within this organization, no one knew that the whole Ime deal would happen the way it did. So, more than anything, Brad is thrilled with the mind that he knew Joe had, because we're talking about a guy in college again. Ain't nobody. I know my teammates weren't thinking about no doggone 1-3-1. I had some thugs. I had a guy hit our coach one time in practice, Bomani.
At Fullerton?
At Fullerton. Man, that was the last time I saw that brother. When he punched him, pow! And he walked straight out of the gym. Now, the coach was over there like, you go, you. Yeah, I'm like, nah, coach, he went that way. Coach, your eyes are a little crossed right now. But that was the last time I saw that player. But, I had players like that. Guys weren't thinking on that level of like, there's only been few that I've been on the bench with. Like Jock Vaughn is another one that is a great thinker of the game. And to see him go back to Kansas now and possibly, lead that group, it only makes sense.
I want to ask you about the Pistons because I know Bruce Bowen well, and I know what kind of team that Bruce Bowen gonna like, and that is a Bruce Bowen team right there. I
Well,
see you can't even sit still talking
I
about
can't.
him.
I can't. I will say this. I'm gonna go another direction. Of course, what Bickerstaff is doing there, I love it because he's just come in and connected with those guys. I think when it comes to NBA, it's truly about your connection with players. And it starts with Cade Cunningham. I saw Cade when he was a sophomore in high school. I used to work this or observe, like I said, work on accident. Whoops. But at the Nike Elite Camp, man, and he would compete against all these guards. And at that time, it was Jalen Green. He and Jalen Green were the 1-2-1-2. And Cade would come down, man, get an and one, and everybody and one. Cade get hit, he just turn around, run back on defense. And I saw it in him his senior year, then I saw it when he was at Oklahoma State. And I'm so proud of that group because of what he has as far as the leadership there. Detroit has always had great leaders, Joe Dumars, Chauncey Billups. And now you enter into the mix as players on the floor, Cade Cunningham. You take not Amir Johnson, it's his twin. What I
No, you're
forget.
talking about Asar.
Who? Man, I'm like, how did you get two kids with all that athleticism? Him going up against Jalen Brunson last year has, again, I talked about we only learn in our failures. That moment in time will always be in his head. And that's only going to make him better. The big man down low. Man, I almost want to call him Orlando Woolridge because he looks so much like him with that zero. You talk about enforcer, you got to have somebody that got your back, man. And he for sure got everybody's back. Let him come on in here. I'll show you what I'm going to do to him. Where he got guys scared to drive the ball.
Well, and then they bring Stewart off the bench.
Come
Like
on,
it is amazing
Stewart.
it is amazing that the Pistons, this is the third incarnation of this model that they have broken out of a team.
Works. Bomani, it works for them. I can't think of another organization other than San Antonio where you put a centerpiece as far as a big man and you build around it. It's the hard work. It's the lunch pail. I'm bringing my hard hat. It's those things that work in Detroit. You don't have Detroit as a, hey, we're going to get up and down. We want to shoot 43s a game. No, that ends up just a bad team in the East. We have enough of that. So you get a team that can buy in on that aspect of things. We're going to work hard. We're going to do everything that we need to do with purpose. And I love what Bickerstaff and his staff is doing down there with that.
What you think about your man Stewart?
Which one?
Isaiah.
Ooh. I mean, Bomani, it seems like there's always mess. And but the thing is, he got a little Ron Artest in him from the standpoint that it's like, hey, come on back over here. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. But he's like, no, I got to go over there.
No, nobody ever called the cops on Ron. That dude for the Suns called the cops on him.
I mean, but now I know we joke about it, and that's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's jokes but somebody is able to connect with him, and this was his way to get in. And yes, you are an enforcer as well, but let's as they say with deli meats, let's curate it to a point where they're not calling the popo.
Right, like that's we gotta stop there, because at first I was judging that man for calling 5-0, and then I think it was Obi Rod who hit me up and was like, nah, he the one that's in this situation, right? Like apparently it sounded like he had been told that it was on site in perpetuity.
I know we come from that generation where there was a fight, but then they let it go. I think the worst one was Doug Christie and Rick Fox, two light-skinned brothers.
It was very beige. It was beige rage. It was a lot of beige rage.
Beige rage. I'd never heard that one. Beige rage. But I mean, like, they really took that thing to another level, because we pretty boys ain't supposed to do that. But can you imagine some of those folks that's like, yo, dog, I'm out of the mud. I don't care about this. When a person says they don't care or say less, that's bad news to me. That's bad news to me. But there was a player, he went to Wake Forest, played with the Heat.
James Johnson know Kung Fu, or one of them.
Man, looky here. I would probably apologize him if I fouled him. Hey, brother, look here. I am so sorry. That was not intentional. And the only other person I could think of in that situation was Charles Oakley. Oak still might smack you. I was at the Bellagio one time, and we were on a craps table, and Oak just got back into the Bellagio. And we gambling and we having a good time. Now, Oak got a bunch of chips that he's putting on the cum line. And this is new to me. I only know blackjack. I know how to count to 21. Okay. So I take one of my chips and I put it down there like, hey, and 12 came up. So 12 pays like 30-1, the odds there. And so they give Oak all his chips, and I said, what about mine? And the guy was like, you put it down too late. And Oak said, y'all better pay my boy his money or else ain't nobody playing. And I was like, they gave me my chips, Bomani. I left after that. I was like, no. There's just and he was helping me out.
Yeah, that's about to, yeah, but that time,
Jesus.
Yeah, that time he was helping you out.
That's the part where it's like, ooh, man, what if he was mad?
Yeah. I will say this. You mentioned Cade Cunningham. I watched Cade Cunningham play one game in college. It was at Oklahoma State. It was either the conference tournament or it was the NCAA tournament. I can't remember which. And what always stuck out to me was after every play, he was the bring it in dude. And I watched how fast all those other dudes ran to him when he brought it in. And I was like, oh, we got something going on here. Like a Mike Conley type of situation where he's a better player than Mike Conley. At that time, I wasn't sure exactly how good he was. Like my question for him in the NBA was like it was with Mike Conley. Your team has to be a certain level of good for you to get the Mike Conley benefits out of it. But if y'all are sorry, Mike Conley can make you better. But if you're good, Mike Conley can help make you very good.
And I think that's because of let's all the noise surrounding him going to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had hired his brother the year before, and at least that's what I remember in that scenario. But you cannot put a price tag on leadership. Leadership is something that's not about the price tag. It is who the individuals are. You brought up a great point in Mike Conley. There are a lot of people that felt like Mike Conley shouldn't be in the NBA. There are people that thought less of him because he played with Greg Oden in college, as well as the AAU scene. But what you've been able to see from Mike Conley was something that has always been who he was. He's been a great leader wherever he's been. And so when we talk about Cade, you talk about a leader that's tough. You know, when they played the San Antonio Spurs and he chucked Wemby, it wasn't all little like, no, ref, he ran into me. No, he's like, yeah, I did it. And that's what you want from your leader. But also the leader that he hit also knocked down a three the very next play.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one last thing with you, Bruce Bowen, before we get out of here, because we were talking about what's going to happen with the Celtics if they bring Jayson Tatum back. And just speaking hypothetically here, if Bruce Bowen was playing out there with Jayson Tatum, would it be the second quarter or the fourth quarter?
Oh, boy.
Not that you would kick him in the back of the leg, but like, just leave it in the air. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it.
No. This is another one of those great questions you have, Bomani.
Yes, it is.
You said if I was playing today, right?
Yes,
today.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I love your work, Bomani. I mean, I think you are, poof. It's no surprise that you are where you are. Being it's me and I've been known to get close to guys. Jayson Tatum, I have a lot of respect for. And because I have a lot of respect for him, I'm going to play hard against him. Now, this is Bruce Bowen, 32 years old. Okay. Or 28. I understand that they watching me. I understand that. So I'm going to try and play a physical game and continue to stress that I know that they're watching me.
Got you.
That's officials. Hey, I can do this.
I just had so many flashbacks to you in that number 12 when you went like this. Like if they put a statue of you in front of the building, it's gonna be you.
Have you seen this man?
Like this.
Wearing that jersey.
You out here looking like a mob, trying to make it seem. What are you talking about?
Well, mine is because officials are taught that if they see this action, they call fouls. So if my hands are here in Boston, I'm going to show my hands. And more importantly, Bomani, because of the rules of the game today, the Harper got called for a flagrant one. He contested the shot, and Jalen came down next to his foot. Bruce Bowen would be, as he contests, and I come down before he does, running away so that they can't say that I did something illegal.
Yep. because it wasn't illegal where Bruce Bowen played. And then in today's day and age,
hold on, I need to drink my tea.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man.
What are you saying, Bomani? What are you saying?
Some people got things named after him. Sometimes it's a statue, sometimes it's a building, sometimes it's a park, sometimes it's a rule. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I told my therapist that you would do this. You would do this around this time. But I'm not even fazed by what you're saying, Bomani. I'm not even fazed by what you're saying. I just seem to have a rash right now because all the forgiveness that I've given you. And brother,
you a legend, brother. You a legend. I'm giving you credit for being a legend.
No. See, you pouring gasoline and alcohol at the same time on the fire.
You a legend. They should have named the airport after you, but instead they just decided to give you a rule.
I'm gonna
actually, no. To be fair, it's the Zaza rule. It ain't even the Bruce Bowen rule. It's the Zaza rule.
Well, what did Zaza do?
That's right.
Hello.
That's right.
When it happened to me, y'all don't talk about when it happened to me. See, it happened. Look, it happened to me with Baron Davis. Now what?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know what? We need to go take that up.
I don't like your tone right now.
No.
You're just doing that to comply.
No. You know what? Now that you mentioned it, you're right. It's the Bruce Bowen rule because they did it to you. See. Take that compliment, Bruce Bowen. Take that compliment.
That is not what I'm doing. that is not what I'm doing.
I know it's not.
I know it's not. I tell you this, Bomani, I really do enjoy talking to you sometimes, but it seems like it always goes a certain direction with you.
But I bring it back to love. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
that's my man.
I was waiting for the chef in you to bring it back. You just did your marinade with me.
Hey, man, I did.
And now you about to go cook some stuff.
Yeah. But that is Bruce Bowen, my brother. It is always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely, brother.
All right, man. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 4 days a week. Ryan Brumley handling everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Oh, hit the voicemail line. I forgot. 323-596-7767. Follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.